Watch this. Verse 45.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee, till thou beest destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
He said, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee. They're going to pursue you, and they're going to overtake you until you be destroyed. Verse 46.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
So we done just realized what the day was. What's the day?
Curses.
The what?
Curses.
We was wondering what the day was. Remember, when we started this, we was wondering what that day was, and we just found out that that day is the curses. That these curses shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. This is how you identify the true Israelite, brothers and sisters. Okay? But this is how you identify who the true Israelite is. Guess what, brothers and sisters? We done read a lot, and we still ain't even got the tip of this iceberg yet. Okay? We only introduced you to identifying Israel. We still got more prophecies than we got to read concerning this. Okay? Let's go ahead and skip down. Read that verse 46 one more time.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
All right.
Because thou servest not Yahweh thy Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Wow. He said, because you didn't serve me with gladness, brothers and sisters, therefore you shall serve your enemies. He keep using that word, enemies. Enemies. I say that this is the land of my enemies, the land of my captivity, but I'm viewed as a racist because I'm making this comment. But the Father is the one that said this. See, this ain't, we are not coming from an emotional level. We're not coming from some doctrinal level, people. We're coming from the word of the Most High. Everything that we're saying is coming right here out of the scriptures. It said that because we didn't serve the Father, Yahweh, we have been forced to serve our enemies, which he has sent against us in hunger, in thirst, in nakedness. That's just talking about just poverty, what it's talking about there. And poverty is a sign that is given to our people. Okay? Find out where the most impoverished area of wherever you live at, and you're going to only see the same people there. I don't care what city you go in. We're doing this out of Jacksonville, Florida. Go up to Chicago and see if you find different people living in the same conditions. Go out to LA, see if there's any chance you'll find another people that don't look like me that's going to be over there and not in poverty. Somewhere where you're going to find the black people going, man, I ain't living over there. I ain't going over there. No way. No way. The only way we say that, we talk about our own people, we ain't going over there, because that's the place we ain't going over. And we're not going to touch on this right now, but we're going to touch on it thoroughly in the next lesson concerning this whole 1948 doctrine being the return of the true Israelites or the true Jews in Israel. Biggest lie ever been told. Scripture defines the true return of Israel. And we're going to read about that after we get finished ingesting, identifying the true Israelite. Okay? It says, where did we leave off at? It says in verse 48, he says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Every last one of us that came over into this whole Western Hemisphere, much less Europe and Asia and everywhere else we were scattered in, we all had the yoke of iron on our neck, brothers and sisters. That yoke of iron was one of the signs as a people. As a people, that yoke of iron was a sign. It was on our neck as we was carried from East Africa to West Africa. Okay? Verse 49.
Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far.
Wow, from far. How far?
From the end of the earth.
Uh-oh.
As swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Wow. Wow, brothers and sisters. I would love to hear one of these preachers on TV try to deal with this right here. He says, Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth. Again, this nation is a nation that neither you nor your fathers have known. A nation speaking a tongue that you have never even heard before. Okay, and it's English with the Jesus and all. It ain't but 500 years old. As far as the way that we speak, it ain't but maybe 250 years old. Because that old English that was translated in King James Version, that was in 1611. And then that was taken from Latin, or translated from Latin. You know, so I'm saying that 500 years ago, the way that you're hearing us speak right now, you wouldn't even heard that just 500 years ago, in the 1600s. But anyway, that's what he says. He says, a nation against thee from far, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Verse 50.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor shew favor to the young, and shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or the flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustedest, throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which Yahweh thy Elohim shall have given thee.
And he's talking, I'm going to tell you, he's talking about the Gentiles here. The sons of Japheth that we touched on the last show we did, Israel, a black nation, identifying the Gentiles as the sons of Japheth, the European people. Okay? Let's skip all the way down. Skip down to verse 59.
Then Yahweh will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed even great plagues, and of long continuances, and sore sicknesses, and of long continuance.
That's the third time we're talking about a physical ailment that we're going to have. And these ailments that we're going to have are going to be how we are identified as a people. We touched on that already. Okay, in verse 60.
Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will Yahweh bring upon thee until thou be destroyed.
And just to touch on that a little bit, because we already did, but guess what? The Father gave us a divine diet of everything that we can eat according to His Word. And we one of the most, what's the word I'm trying to use? Most evil, most aberrant people against that diet than any other people on the face of this earth. That's why we suffer more from a lot of these diseases than everybody else. Okay? All of that stuff we suffer from, the thyroid conditions and the high blood pressure and the liver diseases. You know, you go into dialysis centers here and that's all you see because of sheer disobedience. That's what I'm looking for, disobedience. Strokes. We can sit here and just name them all, but we the one that got them all. All right? It says, verse 62.
And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldst not obey the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim.
Oh yeah, and also I failed to mention that verse 61. It also says, in the middle it says, also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law. So in other words, there was some new plagues that came on the scene, and you can just use your imagination. We ain't got to even call them out, that they didn't even know about. We suffer from those plagues more than everybody else on the face of this earth. There's a reason for that, brothers and sisters. Okay, so finish that out again, verse 62.
And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldst not obey the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim. And it shall come to pass that as Yahweh rejoice over you to do good and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked off the land whither thou goest to possess it.
I want y'all don't know the Most High, because you all have never taken time to read what he said. He said, and this shall come to pass as Yah rejoice over Israel to do you good and to multiply us. He said Yahweh will rejoice over us to destroy us and to bring us to nothing. And we will be plucked from off the land whither we went to go possess it. See, again, we don't even know that we have a land. We don't even realize that we have a land, that we had a nation. We had a government. We had laws and statutes that if we would have kept that, America would have been jealous. Great Britain would have been jealous. And we can read that. Okay? It says, verse 64.
And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other Elohims, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
There you go. He done mentioned that again. Let you know how specific this is. Whatever the heathen and gave us, brothers and sisters, is a lie. Simple as that. And I ain't talking about just European. I'm talking about whatever all of these heathens are giving us. Because the Father only dealt with one people, and that's the nation of Israel. He only gave them, he say, out of all. Matter of fact, I got to read that since my mind is there. Let's go real quickly into the book of Amos. And into the book of, I was about to say it, and it might sound pretty rough, but then we're going to let the word of the Most High say it itself, and we're going to come back to that. Deuteronomy 28. Okay? Amos, the third chapter. Amos, the third chapter. And verse 1, Amos 3 and 1. Wait a minute, first of all, before that, go on to Amos 2. Amos 2 and verse 11. I just want to clarify something real quick. Amos 2 and verse 11.
And I raised up of your sons for prophets, and of your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel, saith Yahweh?
He's letting us know that the only prophets were Israel. That's why he specified, he said, I've raised up your son for Nazarites and your young men for prophets. Why he specifying Israel? Amos 3 and 1.
Hear this, the word that Yahweh have spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore will I punish you for all your iniquities.
There it is. There it is. See, I started to say it my own self, but that sounds kind of deep, hearing somebody say that, but I let the word say it. You, Israel, only have ye known of all the families of the earth. Therefore he hath punished you for your iniquities. New Testament somewhere, I think it was in the book of Romans somewhere, he said to the other nations, he winked at them. In times past, he winked at the other nations. Why? Because they didn't know him. He didn't know them. And know them is in the sense of how a man knows a woman. When he said that he knew her, meaning he entered into a covenant with that woman. He married that woman. The Father married the nation of Israel. That's what he means by out of all the nations on the earth, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. That's why we're being punished, brothers and sisters. This is why we're being punished. Let's finish out that Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Deuteronomy 28th chapter. Oh, man. But he told us. He said, just as he rejoiced over us to do us good, he will rejoice over us. You all understand that the Father is rejoicing over us every time something goes wrong among our people, and we looking on the news and we seeing this thing. Father rejoicing over that, because of how wicked our forefathers was in not keeping his laws and statutes and ordinances. Okay? And verse Yeah, he says again, he will scatter us among all people from one end of the earth to another. So that's telling me that if I look at just America and I try to figure out, okay, were there ever slaves in America? Yeah, there were slaves in America. Who were they? They were people look just like us. Were there ever slaves in Mexico? Yeah, there were slaves in Mexico. What they look like? They look just like you. Whatever slaves in Haiti, whatever slaves in Jamaica, whatever slaves in South America, whatever slaves in Europe and all these places, how did they get there? What they look like? They look just like me and you. Be specific. If I go to France and I see somebody look like me, hey, how did you end up here in France? And you can't understand my language. You probably be speaking French, but if somebody was interpreted, he'd probably look at me like I was crazy, like, hey, the same way you got to America is how I got here. What you had to me if I go to England, see, going to England, going to wherever we are in England, man, how did y'all get here in England? How do you speak English so well? You know, they'd be like, yeah, that's a stupid question. Same way you got to America, you know. You went here and I went there. What? You know, our forefathers in slavery here.
Could have been cousins.
Huh? Oh, man, deep thing. Brother here said that we could be related. Absolutely. Absolutely, we could be related. Absolutely. Because this is what the Father put upon us. When he said scatter us, and I have to address this, and some of y'all might know that there are other factions of Hebrew Israelites, and we are a Hebrew Israelite congregation. But you got other factions of Hebrew Israelites that teach stuff that's outside of these scriptures. So peradventure, one may be looking at this. You know, there's one particular one that try to say, well, see, in America, we are the tribe of Judah. Can't prove that according to the scriptures. Matter of fact, that's one of the things that the one who called himself Yahweh ben Yahweh used to teach that. This is Judah. We're Judah. That's not in the scriptures. I had a brother try to convince him, came up to this class one day, tried to prove that. I said, brother, you can't prove that. He couldn't prove it. We're Judah. Mexico, that's a tribe of, what's Mexico? Issachar. Haiti is a tribe of Levi. Guatemala, that's a tribe of Zebulon. Right, Jamaica, they're the tribe of Benjamin. That's not what the scriptures say, brothers and sisters. This course of how to identify Israel went through all of the 12 tribes of Israel. We were scattered. When you're scattered, you ain't collectively going as a tribe into one place and as a tribe and going another place, that tribe and going another place. The scripture didn't break it down like this. Nowhere in the scriptures is broken down like that. Nowhere. We were scattered, just like my brother said. That could be my cousin, right down there. Same, almost same DNA practically, right down there somewhere. You know? Hey, I'm here in Jacksonville. I've seen people that man, you look just like somebody up there in Chicago. Look just like him or her. I've told people that. I'm like, wow, y'all have to be related. And I'm pretty sure they are. Pretty sure they are. It's a heavy thing. But it doesn't help it when you have the name of your slave master. You know? Me and my brother, we on the same plantation. This is my brother on the same plantation, you know. But you decided you wanted to be free. So you ran, and I'm still on the plantation. They catch you, and they sell you off to the Jenkins down the street. So whereas we both had the same slave name, being blood relatives, now you are Johnson, I ain't never gonna see you again. So I don't know how many children you got, how many grandchildren you got, how many great-grandchildren you got, because now we got different names, we don't have no connection. But yet and still, you know what I'm saying? But that is our history, brothers and sisters. A sad history. And it's combined with being even sadder because we don't really know our true history. True history right here in the scriptures. He said that he will scatter us among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there we're going to be serving these fake deities that we're serving. And see, here's a beautiful thing about that. Another place the Father said that he will be a sanctuary for us in every nation that he scattered us. This is how come we got this. See, this wasn't for Martin Luther or for the Catholics and for all the other people whereby the Father allowed us to have this. When we were on those boats and we came from across those waters, we didn't have anything to show our heritage. But our heritage was waiting on us right here. Because King James didn't write this. Okay? All those other names that were put on the translation of these scriptures, they didn't write these. These were the ancient text that was written by real Israelites that we're reading. That's how the Father did. He allowed us to recognize who we are right here. And this one book is just about in every black household that you can possibly think of. If it's not in somebody's household, it's probably because they were either can't afford it or they have been so deceived by the churches. They say, well, I don't want no part of anything related to that. And they grasp after something else. But the Father allowed us to still have our heritage right before our eyes. He just had to take the time to open our eyes to be able to see it. And that's what time it is right now, brothers and sisters. In the book of Daniel, he said that in these last days, people should go to and fro and knowledge shall be increased. Okay? So if you're still doing the same thing every Sunday morning, coming away feeling good because you just saw this grand concert and the people were shouting so hard they almost had to call 911 to that spot, then I'm sorry for you. You need to wake up out of that madness, out of that foolishness. Okay? That's wow. He says, verse 65, what he says about these nations that we're going to be scattered into?
And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
Wow. Go ahead.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life.
This will have to be in those places where you can see this being fulfilled at. Which ain't going to be nobody else's area but the area of the true Israelites. In whatever city you go to. And only one person occupy that part. That part, how do you describe that part? That part where your life shall hang in doubt before thee. That part, right. And you're going to fear day and night in that area. And you ain't going to have none assurance of your life. You know, just like me, I can brag that when I grew up in Chicago, I was able to walk up and down through Cabrini Green. Some people wasn't able to make that brag like I was able to do. You know what I'm saying? But I shouldn't be bragging because it was the Father that allowed me to do that. It wasn't because I was big and bad at all. It wasn't because I had some special skills that the Father allowed me to do that thing. Because see, I recognized that it was all through the blessing of the Father. Some people wasn't as fortunate though, brothers and sisters. You know, some people are not as fortunate to walk through, 8th Street here in Jacksonville. Up on Moncrief up there. Some people, have not lived past that. But that's what he's talking about here. Your life shall hang in doubt before thee, thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. What they going to say, 67?
In the morning thou shalt say, would Elohim if it were even. And at even thou shalt say, would Elohim if it were morning. For the fear of thy heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thy eyes which thou shalt see.
Man, that's utter confusion right there. Utter confusion. Utter confusion. In the daytime, it's going to be so bad, you're going to say, oh, I can't wait till the sun goes down. When the sun goes down, it's going to get even worse. Oh, man, come on, I'll be glad when the morning gets here. That sounds familiar right there. He says, for fear of thy heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thy eyes that thou shalt see. Verse 68.
And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee.
How many of you out there that's watching this realize what continent Egypt is in? What continent is Egypt in? Egypt, despite anything that you ever saw, because you watch TV and you see Egyptians being depicted by white, lighter-skinned people, and we showed in the last episode that Egyptians were black African people. Egypt is in Africa, brothers and sisters. I know it was a certain point when I had to learn that growing up, because I didn't grow up knowing that, and I just saw the Ten Commandments since I was a child. It never occurred to me that Egypt was in Africa. And I could see Egypt in almost every book of the scriptures, incidentally. Okay? I can't see Europe in every book of the scriptures. Matter of fact, the word Europe ain't even in here. Okay? But the point is, though, he says, and Yahweh should bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Historically speaking, and I'll say historically, I'm talking about recent history. I'm talking about the 1800s, 1700s, the 1600s. I am not familiar with any Jewish people being in captivity in Egypt. Okay? I am, though, familiar about Egypt having slave cities of Cairo, of Alexandria, of Memphis. I read history about the slave trade in Egypt. And those that were slaves in Egypt would be just like us, the Israelites, because it was prophesied right here. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Finish that out.
Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
He said when we go back into Egypt from there, because Egypt was the jump-off point, brothers and sisters, where we entered into the entire continent of Africa, where some of us went into Europe, where some of us went into Asia even, in captivity as bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, not buy you into captivity, but buy you out of captivity. Because if you understand the laws of the Most High, buying, and it's talking about the law of redemption, where you can redeem your servant or redeem your kinsman out of a certain bondage. No man will do that. That's what it's saying here, brothers and sisters. This happened to only one people. One people. Let's go on to Isaiah the 5th chapter. Isaiah 5. Isaiah 5. Isaiah 5 and verse 1.
Now will I sing to my well-beloved the song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My beloved have a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built the tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
Right. The Father said he had a vineyard. He fenced his vineyard. He took the stones out of the vineyard, and he planted it with the choicest vine. And he built the tower right in the middle of his vineyard and made a wine press therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. He said, now, Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, between me and my vineyard. Verse 4.
What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. and now go to. I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the heads thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste, and it shall not be pruned, nor dig, but thou shalt come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it.
He said, I done did all this work with this vineyard. I done hooked it up. For now looking for the bring forth grapes, it brought forth wild grapes. Now what you think I'm going to do with this vineyard? He said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, men of Jerusalem and men of Judah. He said, I'm going to take it, I'm going to thrash it down. I'm going to take the hedge off of it. I'm going to break down that wall that I built, and it's going to be trodden down. And I'm going to just lay it to waste. It ain't going to be taken care of. Ain't nothing going to be done good for. And I'm going to command the clouds that they don't even put their precious rain on this vineyard. Verse 7.
For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression. For righteousness, but behold a cry.
That's what the Father looked for, but the Father didn't see that in Israel. So therefore he said he's going to destroy Israel. Skip down to verse 11.
Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue till night to wine and flame them. And the harp and the viol and the tabret and the pipe and the wine are in their feast. But they regard not the work of Yahweh, neither consider the operation of his hands.
Talking about the Israelite that love to rise up early in the morning, they may follow strong drink, and they continue to the night until the wine inflame them, and always partying and celebrating the harp and the viol. And you know, the deep thing about this, when I read it, every time I think about this, I think about what they call black entertainment television. Because this is what you see on quote-unquote BET. And BET ain't just black entertainment. What you see on BET is what's been used to define our people. That is how we are defined, by what you see there on BET. Now, granted, it's a stereotype, but sometimes we kind of fulfill that stereotype in many ways. You know, which is why it's there. And people look at that and say, oh, okay, I want to know what's going on with black people. All I got to do is turn on BET, and there it is. Okay? But that's what it's about. Every time I read this, that's what I think about. Okay? The harp and the viol and tabret, it just represent the music. That's what we are known for. The music are all in our feast. But we do not regard not the work of Yah, neither consider the operation of his hands. We done already read what he has done to Israel, how we are identified, but we haven't regarded it. We haven't been taught it. We haven't sought after this knowledge and understanding. Perhaps we're waiting for that man in the pulpit to teach us this.
Man, it's going to wait a long time.
We're gonna, wait, how long? But we're going to be waiting a long time. Long time. That's why the Father tells us not to be putting our trust in men. Don't put your trust in princes. Because that man in that pulpit can't bring you into the kingdom of the Most High. Okay? In another place it says, seek out your own salvation in fear and trembling. Okay? But here, he says, verse, where we at? Verse, 13.
Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
That is why we are going into captivity, because we have no knowledge. No knowledge. That's why we're going into captivity. Skip over to the book of Hosea. Let's read about that, about not having this knowledge. I was going to quote it, but I want to read it. Hosea, the 4th chapter. Hosea, the 4th chapter. Hosea 4, read verse 1 there. Hosea 4 and 1.
Hear the word of Yahweh, ye children of Israel. For Yahweh hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of Elohim in the land.
Sure ain't. Right now we got churches on every corner, but there is no knowledge of Elohim. That's heavy right there. Okay? We talk about this and it sounds strange. Hosea 4 and 1. Hosea 4 and 1. But skip down to verse 6. Skip down to verse 6.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim, I will also forget thy children.
This one verse is so deep, brothers and sisters. It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because we don't have this knowledge, brothers and sisters, this is why that curse have overtook us and devoured us. Because this knowledge, brothers, is not just a book knowledge. It's a knowledge which we live by. See? We got a whole lot of people, even among Israelites, that be seeking after knowledge. They want to know. I want to know this and know that, just want to know, but no one does not reflect how they live and how they walk. And then they want to know so much that they done took on a whole other form of knowledge that have superseded the knowledge that he gave us here. Because Deuteronomy 4th chapter tells us what is our wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. But we like, well, that ain't deep enough. We try to elevate to a whole new level. There ain't no whole new level, brothers and sisters. this gospel, this truth is raw and uncut. Okay? This is what he commanded us to teach our children and our children's children. Simple as that. All of our blessings are derived from this sheer obedience. But right now we are a people of disobedience. He says that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We're not destroyed for lack of faith. Even though our faith is in something that is not in the Most High. Because if our faith was in the Most High, we would be obedient to the Most High. Okay? He says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. He said, because we have rejected knowledge, bro, you took these scriptures and you tried to show that brother over there concerning this thing, and brother, oh man, no, I ain't ready for that. If you're ready for a whole lot of stuff, and if you ain't careful, you're going to wish you was ready for some more stuff. You know, but he ain't ready for that. You know, you be on your job, and you be sharing his word with somebody there, and the brother be like, oh man, hold up, hold down with that. You know what I'm saying? Man, you know, we don't be too loud with that stuff. Then you go to your job, talk about the award show happening on BET that night, and everybody else be all loud in the uproar. Talk about what the Jaguars did last week. You know, you ain't got to watch your mind about that. Brother said the floor of the Gators. Bulldog. You know, but see all that stuff, you know. And what be killing me too about our people is that you be hearing brothers be talking about that, boy, and they be swear that this is knowledge they coming out with, man. Hey, man, the halfback for Georgia, man, they can tell you his stats, man. I remember that cat was a freshman, man. He ran for like 75 yards a game, man. I knew he would be drafted, man, and then, you know, and you'll be feeling kind of crazy because you don't know what he's talking about, you know, but this guy be like, this is knowledge he's kicking. You know, man, you know, the Orlando Magic, man, I'm telling you, man, they drafted this guy in the first round. Second round, they got that boy out of Syracuse over there, man. You be like, man, and you supposed to be impressed by that knowledge, man. You like,
Lil Wayne went platinum in a week.
Oh yeah, man. Can't nobody tell me about Lil Wayne, man. Lil Wayne, that cat went, man. So you can't tell me he ain't rapping about something. You know, but it's deep. All that is vanity. It's foolishness. It ain't knowledge. That be killing me. But when you come with the true knowledge, oh no, bro, I ain't ready for that, man. Man, what Bible you reading out of? You know, like you done wrote your own little book. You reading out of that you wrote for, you know. And some of us do be reading out them little books. The 100 little comic books that Malachi York done wrote. Oh, yeah, Wild and all that stuff. You know, hey, you know, but again, that's knowledge right there, you know, or whatever. But, oh, man, it's deep. But he said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. See, Israel, the chosen people, were chosen to be a nation of priests. That was part of our covenant, that we would be a nation of priests. Okay? Let's flip that over to and I'm going to stop alluding to the Jewish people, but I have to allude to them because the whole world has been deceived into thinking that they are the truth.
For those of you who are watching this video on the web, you're probably wondering why we dressed in different apparel from the beginning of this lesson. And it's because when we started this lesson, we didn't even have a black president. Remember, Barack wasn't even elected then. But nevertheless, we're going to finish this out. We're going to start this off in Ezekiel, the 5th chapter, though. We're going to go into Ezekiel 5th chapter. Ezekiel 5th chapter. And we're going to start this off in verse 5. Ezekiel 5 and verse 5. We're going to let the scripture speak.
Thus saith Yahweh Elohim, this is Jerusalem I have set in the midst of the nations and countries that are round about her. And she have changed my judgments into wickedness more than the nations, and my statutes more than the countries that are round about her. For they have refused my judgments and my statutes. They have not walked in them.
Right. This is talking about us, Israel, the nation of Israel. How the Father said he has set us in the midst of the nations that are round about her. You look at where Jerusalem is situated on the map. You got Ham south of Jerusalem. You got Japhet north of Jerusalem. And you got Shem all around her. That's kind of deep how it's situated like that. You know, the Father is saying, you know, so all of these people at given time had access to us, because the reason why he situated us like that, because he had ordained us to be a nation of priests. A nation of priests. We were there to have access to where people can have access to us. If you are familiar with Solomon being the king, he was a king. The Father had blessed him so abundantly, as he blessed the nation through him so abundantly, that other people of other nationalities were coming down to Israel to behold the grandeur of King Solomon, as the Father had gave him blessings through him, you know, and that was part of how we were supposed to be as a nation. A blessed nation set above, high above every nation on this earth. Not by our own might, but through the workings of being that priest nation, that peculiar people unto the Father. And that's the only way that we was going to be set up high. No other kind of way. But because of our wickedness, he said he set us in the midst of the nations. And says, and when we were set in the midst of the nations, says, and we have changed his judgment into wickedness more than the nations, and my statutes more than the countries that are round about her. But they have refused my judgments and my statutes. They have not walked in them. See, in another place, I think we're going to read that in a minute. He tells us, he says that he have not known other nations. Only Israel have he known of all the nations in the earth. You know, the other people walked according to their own deities. He said he winked at them. But he didn't wink at us, because he gave us his laws and statutes. He sanctified us above all people. And that's the reason why we are now cursed above all people on the face of the earth. Okay, verse 7.
Therefore thus saith Yahweh Elohim, because ye multiply more than the nations that are round about you, and have not walked in my statutes, neither have kept my judgments, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you. Therefore thus saith Yahweh Elohim, behold, even I am against thee, and will execute judgments in the midst of thee, in the sight of the nations.
That's right. See, this is how you identify who Israel is. These people are so cursed that when other nations or people see these people, all they're going to come up with, man, the Father is not with them people.
Yeah.
The Father is not with them people. Simple as that. I don't care for whatever reason, the Father is not with them. You're not going to go among these other nations and have that same thought. Yeah. But when you come around the true Israelite, that's what you're going to see, that the Father is not with thee. He say, therefore thus says Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, and will execute judgment in the midst of thee in the sight of the nations. And just like when you had gasped at the end of verse 7, he says, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you. See, we wasn't keeping judgment within ourselves, and when other nations saw us, came in the midst of us, they didn't see the judgment of the Most High there either. So he said, because you have basically, I don't want to use the term embarrassed me, but in essence, that's basically what it is. Because all these nations knew that we were sanctified through the Father to be his priest station. And they didn't look to you guys to get that righteous judgment from you all. Well, I'm going to get them something to see now. They done saw you set up on high. I'm going to really get them something to see when I execute my judgment in the midst of thee, in the sight of the nations. Verse 9.
And I will do indeed that which I have not done, and whereunto I will not do any more like, because of all thine abominations.
Now I want you all to really check that out. You can't have this other people coming talking about Holocaust. This is what happened to us. You know, we were in Germany minding our own business, and all of a sudden ended up in Auschwitz or whatever. That was one isolated place where you all was there, and they never addressed how they got there in the first place. Because the scripture said that we were going to be carried into captivity in all nations. Every nation when we go into it, we weren't going to go in there on our own accord. Neither were we going to go in there without having a yoke of iron on our neck either. But go ahead.
Another thing, Germany ain't all the nations of the
Exactly.
earth.
That's correct.
You know,
Right.
Yes.
That's right. That's what I said. It was isolated to what happened there. And all that was a political action that they did. People never stopped to think. I mean, are German people more wicked than anybody else? I don't think so. I mean, I don't think they're more wicked than anybody else. So, how did Hitler be able to get all that support among German people against these people? Okay? I'm just saying, I'm not speaking according to opinion. I'm just saying, you just look at the newsreels and you see that he had a lot of support from German people against these people, and there was a reason for that. Not saying that what he did was righteous or whatever. That's not where I'm at with it. But I'm just saying that there's a story that most people don't understand in regards to what happened in Germany.
It's kind of two sides.
Yeah, it's two sides to every story. Not saying, not excusing what happened, but the thing is that there was a financial burden that was going on among the people in Germany. You know, at one time the German Deutschmark was valued at this, but then when the Jewish people took over that whole financial sector of Germany, then all of a sudden that Deutschmark failed, just like how they say this American dollar is about to fall. It failed. They were carrying the Deutschmarks and wheelbarrows just to go get a loaf of bread.
You said that it was already low before they got in there, though.
No, it
was fine.
Through their economy, they kind of took over the whole entire financial. The German people felt like, we're Germans, this is our land, but these Jewish people, they profited more on our labor than we are, and this is our land. So I'm saying it was that mindset that created the climate for Adolf Hitler to rise up and to garner
it's kind of like what they call them, like a revolutionary in that
pretty
sense.
much, pretty much.
Okay,
yeah,
all
pretty
right.
much. And that is how they dealt with that whole incident. But the point is that, you know, like I said, I'm not saying what he did was right or none of that. I'm just saying that when you look up the historical aspect, because they never talk about how Jewish people came into Germany in the first place. They never explain to people how did somebody as vile as Adolf Hitler was able to get all that support from all of these people and bringing all these people into these German death camps or whatever. But the thing is that the reason why I'm bringing it up is because of what the Father had done to the true Israelites. Okay, what happened in Germany during them 10-year period, or however many years it was, about 10 years, can't be compared to what he done put upon the true nation of Israel. You know.
And you know something? I bet Hitler knows they wasn't real.
Oh yeah.
You know all they know.
Right. Absolutely. The vast majority of them were European themselves. Converts, Eastern European people, you know, the Ashkenazim, as they call them, you know. But that's another lesson, though. But again, what the Father poured his judgment on the true people of Israel, man, what they went through can't even compare, okay? And then not only that, but we see now where are they at now. You know, the reparations of this, that, and the other. You know, this country right here was built on the blood of the true Hebrew Israelite. While those people there were one of the main financiers of the slave ships that brought us from over there to over here to this whole entire Western Hemisphere.
Coca-Cola.
Huh?
Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah, all that. Yeah, you know, I mean, they, you know, they have been reparated for whatever it was that they went through in that, like he said, that isolated period in Germany and Auschwitz and all that stuff. But what the Father had put upon us, ain't nobody can touch on what He had done to His people. When He said He had executed judgment in the midst of thee in the sight of the nations. Okay? And see, that's another thing, because the people that caused that harm on the so-called Jewish people in turn repaid them. Right. But it ain't no people that did it for us. It was the Father Himself that caused that to happen to us.
And the thing is, they don't understand that when the Father brought them into that land, He was going to be sanctified and bringing them into the land by Him doing that.
Right. And see, I ain't never heard of Jewish people say that the Father is the one that caused them to be right. To be in the concentration camps or whatever. I've never heard not one Jewish.
They made that seem like that was a great, tragedy. It wasn't no punishment or this
done by one people, Adolf Hitler or whatever, But what happened to us? The same tragedy that we went through here in this country of America, we went through it in South America. We went through it in Europe, in Germany, all them places we went through, in Asia,
A lot of people, they love to tell me about how many people supposedly died. 3 million? How many? 60 million? 6 million. Okay. 400 years now in all them countries you just named, plus during the times of the prophets, on to that time. That's almost in billions.
Bro, there's more than 6 million people that didn't even make it over the ship into the Western Hemisphere. Them sharks feasted on us in that, what they call the Middle Passage. So, again, like you said, we ain't even want to go there with the numbers and everything. But when you look at all the signs that we done read earlier in Deuteronomy 28, see, because if we're going to read other signs again, because again, this is about identifying who Israel is today, okay? He said that we're going to have our language taken away from us, our name, our tongue, our heritage, all that done taken away from us. And plus the way we would be going into all nations into captivity. It's clear. It's clear. You see, you got to have all them signs on you to be able to be identified who the true Israelite is, okay? Verse 10. Let's see if verse 10 going to touch on that.
Therefore the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of thee, and the sons shall eat their fathers, and I will execute judgments in thee. And the whole remnant of thee will I scatter into all the winds.
He ain't saying one of the winds. He said in all the winds. The true Israelite ain't going to be scattered into one little isolated place.
Right.
They're going to be scattered in all the winds. Verse 11.
Wherefore, as I live, saith Yahweh Elohim, surely because thou hast defiled my sanctuary with all thy detestable things, and with all thine abominations, therefore will I also diminish thee. Neither shall my eye spare, neither will I have any pity.
You mean tell me that every place that you find us at, we not the word, the thought of being diminished don't come to mind? In this country, I go to any city. I was young when I first realized this. I'll never forget one day, me and a friend of mine, we took my ride and we drove to Cleveland, Ohio one day. I had never been to Cleveland. Got off the expressway, and I looked around. I ain't see a soul outside, but I know who lived there. I didn't have to guess who lived there. Because I knew what that area looked like, and I ain't never even been to Cleveland before. You go to any city in this country.
The ghetto.
Yeah. You go to any city in this country, you're going to find where we live at. Usually it's going to be identified by Martin Luther King Boulevard or Martin Luther King Drive, usually, but it's always going to be there. Now, how do you explain the whole concept of, because people talking about, man, slavery is a long time ago. Well, if slavery was a long time ago, true enough, we still got the same curses upon us as we did when we was in those physical change. Okay? I don't know the brothers up in Boston, Massachusetts. I ain't never even talked to them before. So how can I go to Boston, Massachusetts and I see that they live in the same condition my people in Chicago living in, or people here in Jacksonville living in, or wherever you go? See, that is a curse right there. That's a curse. That's a curse right there, And then even in this country specifically, we have to have certain laws that are created to make us to be equal to other people. And now you got some of us that think we done got so far ahead, we be like, man, that affirmative action, man, that was for back in the day. We don't need affirmative action no more. I got news for you. Okay. Every black person that's sitting there selling fries in McDonald's is doing it because of affirmative action. Right. Yeah. You cut out affirmative action, you ain't gonna, that black person ain't gonna necessarily have a right to even sell fries at McDonald's. So it ain't about your so-called accomplishments that's getting you where you're going. You know, just the very fact that historically we've had laws set aside to kind of make us equal. And even those laws haven't even worked all together. You know, that's the curse that the Father put upon us as a people. And we can't get out of it because only the Father is the one that's going to get us out of it. Man can't get out. No man is going to redeem us. Nothing. Not even having a black president is going to deliver us out of this. No matter how much we break up the court out of the wine and celebrate his presidency, okay? Where did we leave off at? We still in verse 11? Yeah. Did you read all of that?
Yeah.
He said, wherefore I live, says YAH Elohim, surely because thou hast defiled my sanctuary with all thy detestable things, and with all thine abominations. Therefore I will diminish thee, neither shall mine eye spare, neither will I have any pity. That's right, we are a pitiful people, because the Father didn't have no pity when he executed judgment on us. Verse 12.
A third part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with the famine shall they be consumed in the midst of thee. And a third part shall fall by the sword round about thee. And I will scatter a third part into all the winds, and I will draw out a sword after them.
That's heavy right there. He said a third part is going to die with the pestilence, and with famine shall they be consumed. They're going to be consumed right there where they stood. Say a third part shall fall by the sword round about thee. Whatever the pestilence don't destroy, the enemy going to come around us and take us out like that. And those of us that escape from that, he said he's going to scatter into the third part, into all the winds. And when we flee from all that, we looking back and we seeing our people dying of the pestilence. We see that the enemy done came and killed all the rest of them, and we running. We ain't going to run far because that sword is going to be right behind us. Wherever we land, the sword is going to be right there waiting on us. Right. You know, because we can't escape it. Verse 13.
Thus shall my anger be accomplished. And I will cause my fury to rest upon them, and I will be comforted. And they shall know that I, Yahweh, have spoken it in my zeal, when I have accomplished my fury in them. Moreover, I will make thee waste and a reproach among the nations that are round about thee, in the sight of all that pass by.
That's what we are. We are a reproach. We even continually make ourselves a reproach, because we refuse the instructions of the Most High. We refuse knowledge and understanding. Okay, verse 15.
So it shall be a reproach and a taunt, an instruction and astonishment unto the nations that are round about thee, when I shall execute judgments in the anger and fury in furious rebukes. I, Yahweh, have spoken it.
Hallelujah. So Ezekiel, do the Father have broken down some of the things that the true Israelites have had to deal with, because we are lost and scattered people suffering under these curses that he have laid upon us until he bring us back again as a nation. All right, let's go on to Isaiah. Isaiah the 3rd chapter. Isaiah 3rd chapter, and let's start at verse 1. Isaiah 3 and 1.
For behold, Yahweh of hosts doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient. the captain of 50, and the honorable man, and the counselor, and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them.
And that's what's going on with us. We don't have what we had, huh?
Soldier boy.
That's right. That's right. That's right. See, we didn't have what we had when we was a nation. We had the mighty men of war, and judges and prophets and all that.
Elders.
He done took all that away from us. He says, and I will give children to be their princes. That's right. That's what we look at. Children. They're our princes. And babes shall rule over them. What else? Verse 5.
And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable.
Wow, that's what's going on among us.
No respect.
No respect, absolutely no respect
Fighting
at all.
against your name.
That's right. That's what's happening among us as we are sojourning in this captivity. All these signs is identifying who we are, okay? And again, like you say, all you got to do is turn on TV, because BET and all that stuff like that, they promote that type of behavior among our children. You know? Yeah. And see, you might have that same behavior probably exhibited among other people too. The only thing is it don't affect them to the extent that it affects us as a people.
Right.
It only, you can still ride and walk down their neighborhoods and it's all good. But you can't go through our neighborhoods because it's out of control based off of this mindset right here. Okay? Skip down though to verse 11.
Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him. As for my people, the children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy path.
So again, he said the children are our oppressors, and women rule over them, or actually rule over us, because the enemy here in this captivity have allowed the women in our community to surpass the man in an effort to break down the whole context of who we are as a people. That's how it's been historically since we've been over here. Go ahead, keep reading.
Yahweh standeth up to plead and standeth to judge the people. Yahweh will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, saith Yahweh Elohim. Moreover, Yahweh saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet.
This ain't talking about no other sister but ours. They got that whole thing down packed, boy. You be seeing people be trying to imitate them, be making a joke about how they are with
they be like Martin said. Like Martin said, that's how they hit black women, because they always be
Marvin.
Yeah. It was on his first stand-up.
Oh, yeah, the first stand-up? Yeah. Okay, yeah. But that's what he said. He says, moreover, Yah said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty. Haughty. Because, you know, a sister ain't supposed to have that haughty spirit upon her. You look at how women and other nationalities are conducted as far as with their man and all that, you're going to see a certain level of respect that is lost among us. It's heavy. It's deep. You know, it said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes. Or wanting, I guess the word we would say today is sexy, because they use all type of the feminine wiles with them to really get what they want. Stretch forth necks and one eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tingling with their feet. Verse 17.
Therefore Yahweh will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their secret parts.
Now that's heavy right there when you look at it. What's the majority of our sisters now in this day and age actually have their own natural hair on their head? That ain't wearing weaves and whatever. You know.
No other woman Yeah.
No, not to the degree that our women do it. And what made that so messed up is that the brother, we make jokes about it, and they still walking around with the weaves in their hair.
It's my hair.
Huh?
I pay you.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, you look, I be looking at that TV, I be seeing them be having a Gentile there with her hair. Gentile, there be a sister right next to them with their hair on her head.
Yeah.
And I be like, I'm like, that is a sick mentality.
That's something. That's some sick. Now that you mention it, that's
crazy.
Yeah, that's some. Whoa.
But see, look, this is what's crazy about it, because what they do is however they do it with the glue and all that stuff, and it destroys their natural, and they sew on it. There's glue, and then they sew it, and all of that they do. Spending hours sitting in that chair going through that stuff. But see, look what he said here. He says, and I was smite with a scab on. Most of these sisters got the same scab on their head because of all that crap that they done put on their head. That's deep. They have put it on their own head. You know. Sister that I used to talk to a while back, man. I was telling one time she had a picture of her with an afro. I was like, man, you look nice with that. He said, I'd never be walking down the street with that on my head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She feel like she had to go get other hair on her head. I'm like, she looked like Angela Davis type of thing. I'm like, whoa.
Got them little fro.
Yeah.
That's but she bald headed.
Right. She bald headed. Right. Yeah. You need to go get you some pressing curls.
You need a perm.
Yeah,
what about the you need a perm.
Right. Yeah, you need to go get your weed tightened or something. Yeah, that's what I said. But see, the father had already called that, you know. And he said Yahweh would discover their secret part, you know.
What that means.
Huh?
I think we know what that means.
What that mean?
I mean, discover. Okay, would that mean like? Would that be talking about nudity?
Oh, pretty much.
The strip club.
That's right. Absolutely.
You know, because when you said what's most of our women doing, at first I thought that's what you were finna
say.
And now it's something to be proud of.
That's right.
That's why you got all the. Oh man. Man.
You know, you just walk down the street and you be seeing them, you know, half naked like that, you know. And that's messed up.
Because when they say discover, it make it sound like it was saying I was exposed.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
That's right. Absolutely. Pretty much the same thing. Verse 18.
In that day Yahweh will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls and their round tires like the moon. And the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels.
That nose jewels thing is deep. You don't see
You don't see too many women with nose rings, but other than
I can't even think of a Gentile that got a nose ring in her nose. You know, or like you said,
only other race be them Hindus, and that ain't talking about them. That's the only.
Right. Well, we just definitely know it ain't talking about the Gentile type of people though, for sure. Verse 22.
The changeable suits of apparel and the mantles, and the wimples and the crisping chains, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stink, and instead of a girdle rent, instead of a girdle, a rent, instead of a well-set hair, baldness.
Wow.
Instead of a stomacher, the girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground.
Going to the next chapter 4, Isaiah 4 and verse 1.
And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach.
That's right, because that's the reproach that our sisters have. Because they have this mindset of this independent woman. You know, I can do all this stuff by myself and whatever, which is how society have pretty much promoted it. But that's a reproach. Because, and it's funny because women of other societies, they understand that. That, you know, if they, you know, I know it's not popular for a woman to think, because she say, I don't let no man define me. But we are defined anyway. You are defined, like as of me, I'm defined by my family. If my dad is messed up, my dad out here doing things, I'm defined by that, whether I like it or not. See, we are identified, or so that whole thing about just being independent and being all, you know, whatever, that's the breaking down of a nation of people. And other people understand that. That's just like because of the reason why we don't have our own names. We act like a people that don't have our own names. But another nationality that they know their own names, they stand by that name and say, hey, I ain't going to be out here being involved in that mess because I got to carry this name. You know, it'll be just using an example, just say like Barack Obama, just use him as an example. You know, his daughters carry his name. So they are groomed to have to live in the context of that, or else they will be defiling his name. Just like when you saw the other presidents like George Bush, when his daughters went out there acting crazy. That was a mark against his name. Because they would,
when people be like, boy, you a Jones, or you a Jackson.
Exactly. Absolutely. But see, again, to us in our community, those names don't really mean nothing because we have lost our name. We have lost our heritage. You know, that's the reason why all this stuff is going on among us. It is a reproach. But, the sisters, this is just dealing on the sisters here, and they say, look, they said 7 women should take hold of 1 man because even right now, the ratio, what the women be out here saying? What y'all be saying? That a good man is hard to find. You know, that's what they say. No, y'all ain't never heard that before. A good man is hard to find. A good man are hard to find because that's the way the Father done got this going on with us as a people. So he says in that day, it says 7 women should take hold of 1 man saying, look, we would eat our own bread. And how they gonna eat our own bread? Because they done been made the independent woman to be able to do it.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like, because a few years ago, I witnessed like it wasn't a good man wasn't on the agenda. You know, it was like live your life and
that's right.
But people have noticed like, I mean, there's a lot of brothers in prison, and you know what I'm saying? And I see what you're saying.
Right. But they say we would eat our own bread and we would wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Because back then when we was a people, sisters understood the importance of being tied to that brother that had that good name. They understood that. But
and it's coming back to
it's coming back.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Because back it wasn't.
I agree with that. It is coming back to that.
That's right. It's coming back to that. And I don't even want to get too deep into this. I really could, but I don't want to do that though. Anyway, let's go further than this. Let's go on to Isaiah 51. Let's read another one of these signs here. Isaiah 51. Pick this up at verse 17.
Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which has drunk at the hand of Yahweh the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunken the dregs of the cup of trembling, and run them out. There is none to guide her among all the sons whom she hath brought forth. Neither is there any that taketh her by the hand of all the sons that she hath brought up. These 2 things are come unto thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Desolation and destruction and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee?
That's right. That's what has come upon Israel. There is none to guide Israel among all the sons which she hath brought forth. Neither is there any that taketh up by the hand of all the sons that she hath brought up. Right now, that's what we're dealing with. You know, I lose my job. I got to be beating the pavement, trying to see what it is, because I ain't got nobody to older brother, whatever. Say, oh, brother, I got you. Here, you come do this. We're gonna build you up like this, or a community, and that's how it is with most of us. We out here, huh?
Oh yeah, especially
right. We don't have like the way that they have. That's what I'm saying. That's why they had to have all this affirmative action and all that. Because they already have, what's the word for it? Entitlements. Mm-hmm. They are born with entitlements, As them living in their own communities, they know how to support their own communities. Right. We don't support our own communities. Right. That's why we are without jobs and without positions, because we are just scattered in the four winds, just like that.
Like most of our people, like, I got this, I got myself straight.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
exactly.
right.
That's the black mentality, because like you just said about the other communities, I mean, and me and my wife get into this a lot. Mm-hmm. Them Hispanics be sticking together. Yeah. I be like, see y'all, they, oh man, and when Asians, if one gets sick, the whole family go to the hospital to go, the cousins, third, all of them. Us, man, you probably get your brother out the house, so you might, one of your friends. Yeah. Man, it's messed up, man. And
I know when you say Hispanics, man, I ain't never seen it the way they do it up in the ATL, man.
Oh, they out there like that?
South Florida.
South Florida, Miami.
Right.
Oh yes.
Right.
Oh yes, and
right.
Oh man, all in that.
Right.
Oh yes.
They got that same thing going on the North Atlanta.
It's a place in Miami called Hialeah.
Yes.
Oh man, it's almost a whole.
Right.
Yes, it's just
like almost say. I've seen them do it, man. They have people come from over the border and they put them in their apartments. Mm-hmm. Right. In their apartments, and they don't have no problem living 10 to an apartment until they get to the point where they can get something.
If it's us, if it's us. First of all, if it's us, we doing something wrong off rip. We being watched. If we living proof of this. There's more than 5 black folks in the house, male, female, whatever. Ain't something going on.
Right. Think about too is that you have to really watch it among Gentiles. They have so many inside jokes that we're not supposed to get.
That's right.
It's so funny. And I be catching every single one of them.
They get mad when you figure them out.
Because most times, 95% of the time, we ain't gonna get it. Because they'll be smiling on our face real easy as if nothing happened, but it'd be like, it'd be a little bit weak, like, man, just now. Hey, or they'll talk to you about something condescending, maybe about a football player, a black football player, or something like that. They try to act like they like real cool with you, like, I'm just talking some crap to this cat right here. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like the little inside jokes that they do, And I remember one time I was living in Indiana. I don't know why this comes from, and me and this other brother. Because we used to always be hitting these Bible studies. Yeah. And we hit this one Bible study. It was all Gentile at the thing. And they was dealing with something. So they were dealing with this one book, but a lot of the stuff they were dealing with was from the scriptures, but as they were dealing with the book. And so me and the brother were just sitting down there and we just listening to what they saying. And it was almost as if these people that was sitting there, they was feeling so sorry for us because everything that they was saying was so over our heads. It was so. And then when me and him, we was laughing because we was like, man. And when the Father gave us the opportunity, man, we started breaking it down to it. It was like, man, it was like reversal. But before that time, we was quiet and they were just talking, and you could see how you could just feel how it's just some of them was looking like they was like they were so uncomfortable with us being there because they're talking about some things that we don't really know. We don't know. We must have thought that what happened was, it was a big church. They was meeting on one side and one side. And this is what happened. Y'all is my witness. When me and the brother came to the area where they was in, they looked at us, y'all want the meeting over there, over on the other side, whatever. And we said, okay, that's what they have. Yeah, that's what they have over there. So we walked over to the other way, and And what they had over there was alcoholics.
Oh, man.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
I see what you mean. They little subliminal ways.
Right.
Yes.
So we walk back over there, we were like, no, we ain't here for no alcoholics Anonymous. We here for the Bible study, whatever. We tried, we contained ourselves from laughing so hard. Isaiah the 51st chapter, and it says, verse 19, he said, these two things are come upon thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Ain't nobody sorry for us. Desolation, destruction, and famine, and sword. By whom shall I comfort thee? Verse 20.
Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the heads of all the streets as a wild bull in the net.
How about that? You look in our community, who you see standing at the head of the street on the corner?
Y'all ever seen a bull tied up?
Oh, yeah.
They going crazy.
Okay, finish that out.
They are full of the fury of YAH, the rebuke of thy Elohim.
Wow. You be driving down the street, boy, you see your own brother fell on the side of the street. You say, no, I don't come over park. Yeah, I'm going to park. I was going to park on the other block or something like that, man. That's what we... I look at the TV show. What's that TV show? The YAH. That's all they used to show. Standing at the head of every corner, at the head of every street, full of the fury of the Most High. I know what Jewish community could this be talking about, or any other community.
And if it was, they'd only be talking about somewhere in Brooklyn. You know, that little community. Other than that, that's all over America.
Right, but I don't think they got no fury in there.
Oh no, they chilling and sitting there and playing baseball in the street,
sitting
on the stoop.
Wow, man, but this is just. I mean, when you read this verse, you already got the imagery in your mind. It just dances out at you. Sons have fainted, they lie at the head of all the streets. It didn't say that some of the streets. Wherever we live at, all the streets. As a wild bull in a net, they are full of the fury of YAH, the rebuke of thy Elohim. And what made it so fun, like I said, you could feel that fury. You could just feel it.
Yes, I mean sometimes, it ain't the way to be. You be alert just being around that type of, you
be on the alert.
You be expecting to be, just expecting like, oh man, it's sad, man, because every time you around, this is something I experienced. Me and my brother in the video game store once, my older brother, it's a few weeks back, and we just sit there looking, we talking to the dude, he telling us about the new games, all this stuff, and we chilling, and we had Gentiles in there, minding their business. Two brothers coming there, one of them got a baby girl with him, and they up there, my nigga this, and boy, hey, man, he told that nigga stay down. And carrying on like in front of the white. That's what makes it real bad when they get to see us like this. And the whole thing was they was minding their business, but I got a sense of alertness once they came through the door with that behavior and all that negative energy. Now, like you say, you could feel, you know what I'm saying? But when the white folks was there, I was just chilling. That
reminds me of the David Chappelle skit that he did when he was, I don't know if y'all seen that, when he was dressed up like the little lawn jockey, whatever, and he was talking about, you seen that one right there? And then when they showed the yin yang twins,
I'm embarrassed.
That's exactly what he said.
So the little Sambo.
Right. So when you said that, I was thinking about you.
Oh, yes, I was embarrassed.
Isaiah 42, pick this up at verse 18. Isaiah 42 and 18.
Hear ye deaf, and look ye blind, that ye may see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as Yahweh's servant?
Right. See, again, he's talking about Israel here. He said, look ye deaf, and look you blind, that you might see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf or hard of hearing as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as Yahweh's servant? Go ahead.
Seeing many things, but thou observest not. Opening the ears, but he heareth not.
That's how it is when you be trying to break down some truth to somebody. They be seeing all the stuff. And I understand what you're saying, bro, but that's what they always talk about. I understand what you're saying, bro, but you know.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. That we say, it says, seeing many things, but thou observest not. Opening the ears, but he heareth not. 21.
Yahweh is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses.
Now, what the imagery you get with that? He said they are snared in holes. We call them projects or the ghetto or whatever. Snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses. We are a minority outside of the prison, but we are a majority on the inside of the prison. See, that's all part of this curse. That's all part of the sign here. Snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. Go ahead.
They are for a prey and none delivered, for a spoil and none saith restore.
That is our lot in this captivity. To be snared in holes, hid in prison houses. We are for a prey, meaning that you are there to be preyed upon. And you know what? I'm sure you can understand that this is I look at that as a double thing, because it says we are snared in holes, so they are hid in prison house, they are for a prey. And I think of that whole double thing there, because a lot of these communities, mostly in the rural areas where it's majority white people, they be buying and getting them prisons built in their communities, because they make a lot of money with them. They thrive off of those prison systems in there. So that makes us a prey even more when we're in the prison. Not to mention the prison labor that they
profit off of,
yeah,
brothers cleaning the highways.
So there goes the slave trade.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's what it said. They are for a prey and none delivered. Can't nobody deliver us when we're in the prey, because that's what we hear. We wasn't brought here to prosper. We wasn't. That's a heavy thing. Who want to hear that?